don't you think like the knowledge base which we have created into the Web3 infrastructure is kind of little less than the DeFi space? One of the factors is like not getting too much of a wider adoption, which has to be have done, which I believe Filecoin has been doing amazing job into that section, but other protocol are still lagging behind in those areas. What is your thought on that? Like if we include the educational package, so let's say today if you go to ethereum.org or if you go to any of these centralized versions of RPC node providers, you'll never get an option of running your decentralized node. Even it is possible today with certain measures. So don't you think like adding the education is going to help us a lot in driving the adoption? Cam, I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, I think education is extremely important for the space. I think I've said this in the past in public as well, but I think like one of the biggest kind of maybe struggles for crypto Web3 is it's kind of starting the sprint from 10 meters back, because what happened, when you think about the emergence of crypto onto like the world scene, when did it first really happen? I mean, we can basically kind of point towards 2017 for a lot of people learning about crypto, on the kind of global scale. And what did they learn about it? Oh, it's this thing used for money laundering and buying drugs on the internet and like all that. Unfortunately, right? Like that's the reality. Like when you talk to average Joe on the street, right? Like they'll be like, oh, that crypto stuff. Yeah, it's for like online scams, etc. Right. And so in that sense, right, like when you're thinking about the metaphorical sprint that the technology has, before anything like really cool was built, you had basically the entire public make up their minds about like what crypto is. And so now instead of like bringing some kind of like new thing with a cool use case, you kind of have to go, hey, well, before I get you to even try this, I have to like educate you that like there's more to this than internet scams, Silk Road and all that kind of stuff that's muddying the waters. And so I think education is really important. But I think maybe more than that is really bringing a use case that can get average people excited, right? Like these consumer apps that still aren't super present in crypto, but are very necessary for, maybe they're using Web3 Rails and there's nothing really explicitly about them that is crypto, right? And they're gaining tens of millions of users and becoming like the next big thing. Right? And your grandma can download it and know that she's not even using Web3. I think that should really be the end goal, and where we can get the benefits from Web3 without Web3 being kind of the feature, if you will. And so in that sense, I mean, going back to it, this is one of the things that excited us about Spheron, right? Was basically taking all these Web3 services and providing a really clean interface to get people to start using them. This is how, you get the users. This is how you improve adoption and basically improve education, right? Is like people need to be able to like cleanly be like, okay, yeah, I'd love to store some files on Filecoin. I'm just going to go here and like one click, enter my credit card information and deploy, right? It should really be that simple. It shouldn't be like, okay, I've got to download a wallet and then I've got to launch a bill and then I have to like, go to this esoteric place and transfer it to the right thing. And like that's just like too far
go
gone.
from New York to Miami, from Miami to Austin, and then Austin to Ohio,
yeah,
and then
exactly.
go to Europe.
Actually, I would argue, the original question I think was around education, around infrastructure. And I would say that like education is not really as important here, because you really need to educate, like more the developers, to build like these, applications that rely on decentralized infrastructure. And you don't really need to educate users as much. If you think of how you use like the quote unquote Web2 services and products these days, like there's really like no need for you to think of how they're constructed, like how they work on the back end.
I totally agree on both of your points. Like, and that is what we have been also like realizing to Spheron, and just to like promote ourselves as well here is like we have recently onboarded around 55 games. There is a itch.com competitor which is getting built into the Web3 space, and they are using Spheron completely. You guys won't believe they have been using Spheron in the background, and it doesn't require them to like bring any crypto. So people are just randomly going and uploading their browser-based games, and it doesn't even ask you to restrict yourself, go and connect your wallet or bring that money or go to this place to do that. It just happens. So that is where I also incline on the same philosophy which you guys have.